Welcome back to Virginia This Morning. October is Cybersecurity Awareness Month, and we wanted to talk with an expert on how you can stay safe online.
Joining us this morning, Alex Hamerstone, Risk Management Lead for TrustedSec, and we welcome him back to our live show. Alex, it's great to see you.
Great to see you too. Thank you so much for having me on.
So you mentioned that when we had a little chance to talk a few minutes ago that, you know, in the old days, you had to go get out of your house to be mugged most of the time. Now, folks can reach right into your house and pull your wallet right out of your pocket.
It's absolutely true. It's, you know, with all these scammers, you have no idea where they are. You know, a lot are in the U.S., but certainly all around the world, you know, people are working 24 hours a day to really separate you from your hard-earned money and scam you in just multiple ways. It's just so much different than you know, a while back when you had very limited options to get scammed. You know, it might come in the mail or had to happen in person, but now it's really everything in our life is connected. There are just all these opportunities now for people to you know, try to scam you.
So, Alex, this conversation is probably about establishing control, making sure that the information that you are giving is protected. And what steps can we take to make sure that we are trying to wrap our arms around some control?
So one of the things that I always want to be very clear that you never want to blame victims, of course, right? So if this happens to you, you're absolutely the victim of a crime, and it's not something that should be happening to you. But that being said, there are a lot of kind of common sense things that we can do to protect ourselves. You know, obviously keeping your computer up to date and your phone up to date and things like that. But really, when you get these scams, you know, we all get these texts just all the time, you know, trying to get us to take some kind of action. Is really, if you're not expecting these texts, you know, any kind of text that has a sense of urgency, because scammers are well aware that the more you think about, you know, the scam, the less likely you are to follow through. So they'll create a sense of urgency. They'll try to pull personal details off the internet to kind of make these things seem more real, to make you think that they really know what they're doing and they know about you. But the best advice we can give is don't click on things, you know, don't, you know, if you're not expecting it, and never, ever, ever give up your bank account details to anyone that you don't know. Also,
all right, so Alex, we used to think like senior citizens were the people that were getting scammed, but apparently now your kids, if they're online, there's something called grooming, and then the kids and the grooming and the whole thing. What is grooming, by the way? Is that getting all that personal information that you volunteered?
Well, so that term generally refers to when predators are trying to gain the trust of children or other people. But when it comes to, you know, the scams and the trusting, you know, we often have thought of senior citizens as being the targets. And it seems to me there's kind of a generational thing where senior citizens are very commonly the targets. And then people more in my generation tend to be more skeptical, Generation X. But younger people these days are so used to just sharing all their data online all the time that they fall victim very commonly to scams. And it's not just a function of youth. It's also just a function of the world they grew up in. You know, they're just, again, I mean, things that, you know, that kind of curl my hair when I think about if I were to share it online. Kids these days oftentimes are happy to do it, and they're really used to doing it. This is what they do.
You raise a fantastic point, and in that conversation, you've got, let's think of it generationally, your parents as a Gen Xer, the Gen Xer, and then now your children, right? 3 different experiences in this world with the internet, Alex, and all of us are handling it differently. It does come back to that point that you talked about, 2 great points. We don't want to blame the victim here. But you often have to take that moment of pause, and in the middle of it, we're just so ahead of ourselves to put all this information out there and give whoever it is that's calling or texting what they're asking for.
And I think it's very important that it's an absolute universal truth that the IRS will never, ever ask you to pay your tax bill with gift cards. Right. I mean, it's so endemic at this point that if you go down to the chain drugstores or the big box stores, on the point of sale devices, it has a warning. If you're going to be buying gift cards, you know, they want to make sure it's not a scam. You know, something will pop up there. They train the people that check you out at these stores to ask you if you're buying a large amount of gift cards. And that's a very, one of the common hallmarks. You know, they might try with cryptocurrency, although not everyone knows how to buy that. But it really, if you're paying for anything in your life with gift cards, it's almost guaranteed to be a scam.
Wow. I have a question that's been I've been thinking about for a while, and it's these things you see online of like, if you graduated from high school in 1977, do this, and then you've given away lots of personal information, or put the name of the road you grew up on, and see it'll be your gangster name or something like that, you know. And I look at it and I go, I'm not sure that's a good idea. It isn't, is it?
It's generally not. And if you think about it, if you're resetting your bank account, a password, or a lot of times the secondary authentication for your bank account will ask you what they call security questions. And these are things like, where did you go to elementary school? What street did you grow up on? What's your mother's maiden name? Things like that. And the same things that are in these Facebook quizzes or other online quizzes are the same questions that scammers need to get into your accounts. So really be careful with those things that you're sharing. The other piece is a lot of these personal details can really be used to craft a very effective scam. If you think about any one of us, if you send me an email saying my taxes are overdue and I need to pay the IRS with Steam gift cards, I know that's a scam. But I have a pretty unique last name, and if you pop my name into Google, you can find out a ton about me. And if somebody were to send me a carefully crafted scam saying there's been an incident at the kid's school, and here's a link to see the kids that are safe, well, you probably might get me, right? So the more personal these scams are, and the more they prey on your emotion, the more likely they are to be successful. And so the more personal information you put out there, the more at risk you can become.
Two great points to pick out of that. The more personal information you put out there, the more of a target you can become. And going back to that part of reacting really quickly, Alex, just stop and think for a moment. But it's playing on emotion. It's playing on emotion.
That emotion and the sense of urgency.
Yeah.
And really, it's very rare that you need to react right away. Again, if you get an urgent text, I have an older relative that very often gets these scam texts that their phone's going to be shut off because the bill's late. And it's not even from the phone company that they use, but it startles them, right? Yeah. They don't want their phone shut off. Yeah. And so in those events, call a relative, contact the Chamber of Commerce in your local town or whatever it is and ask for help. There are organizations out there that can help you deal with these types of scams.
And so can this information. Alex, thanks for making time for us this morning.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
Absolutely. We'll talk with you again soon. And until then, we'll share some more information. You can visit online later today, WTVR.com/VTM.
And stay tuned. There's more Virginia This Morning coming up right after this break.